Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal and PLUNDERSTORM is finally here. This much anticipated fan favorite game mode is back for a limited time. Available to all players with an active WoW subscription, you can now jump into a Battle Royale style 60 player game mode without even needing to purchase War Within expansion. Some of you got to experience this mode back at Dragonflight, but actually so many of you that are playing live game right now have never stepped foot into PLUNDERSTORM, so this might be your first time diving into it. Not only will players be able to earn brand new cosmetics this time around with PLUNDERSTORM, but players that never played the Dragonflight's version will be able to go back and earn older transmogs as well, which is an opportunity for you to catch up with all those items that you might have missed out on. But also, PLUNDERSTORM features 2 new offensive abilities, 2 new utility abilities, but also a plunder store, which allows you to better focus on some of the most coveted items. Whether you're looking to expand your mount collection, expand your wardrobe with additional class sets and transmogs, but also other collectible items such as pets, as well as toys and more. So for today's video, I want to do a full-on overview of everything you need to know regarding PLUNDERSTORM in the patch 11.07. As always, if you guys want to see more regular updates for the War Within expansion, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So first things first, I want to welcome all of you to PLUNDERSTORM. Many of you get to experience it back in Dragonflight, though not all, and quite a significant portion of you actually have never played this mode before and maybe just skipped out on it completely during the expansion of Dragonflight altogether. So this is your chance to give it a proper shot, collect all of the old as well as new cosmetics with a much better system of you being able to directly purchase these items from the games that you're playing within this mode. So first things first, what is PLUNDERSTORM? It's basically a new mode for WoW that was added as a experimental thing, a 60-player Battle Royale PvP style game mode that is available for a limited time. Anybody with an active subscription can participate in PLUNDERSTORM, whether you play only Classic or Retail. You don't necessarily need to have War Within in order to be able to fully participate and get rewards as well as cosmetics, as well as to join in on the action. PLUNDERSTORM and the way that it plays is wildly different when it comes to its form of combat styles compared to Retail or even Classic WoW, where WoW normally has its well-known tab targeting combat mode. This one has a bit more of a freer flow to it, with abilities that are more set up as frontals and AoEs and skill shots that don't necessarily need for you to have a target in front of you in order to be able to activate, but you will have to aim those abilities directly or be positioned next to an enemy to be able to hit them with those abilities. You also get to collect lots of unique cosmetics, mounts, as well as other rewards to use within the live games, but also certain rewards can also be taken into Classic Cataclysm or soon to be Classic Mists of Pandaria as well, like some of the different Jolly Roger mounts that are available within this mode. So when you first get started with PLUNDERSTORM, you get to create a brand new character. You don't necessarily take one of your existing characters into PLUNDERSTORM, but you can just make a brand new character from scratch. It doesn't matter what racials they have. It doesn't matter what abilities they use. None of those things matter. It's purely aesthetic, purely cosmetic on how you want your character to look, because none of those racial things are going to matter whatsoever in this mode at all. Now, PLUNDERSTORM comes in 3 modes. Normally, PLUNDERSTORM was played in solos or duos, and for a little bit you could play as trios, but it looks like they've replaced trios this time around with a practice mode, where you can actually go to the island of Brew Bay and practice your character, practice a variety of different abilities with vendors for you to test out all of these skills and get familiar with them, test out the movement systems of this mode as well as some of the combat, as there's even a whole ring area where you could just jump in and fight either players. In the middle area, there's also a ring, which is basically a big free-for-all. You can't die in the ring, but it gives you an idea of how your abilities will function as you use your skills. It also helps you practice dodging player skills as well, and it gives you an idea of like how much damage all these abilities are going to do. So if you're trying to test out some of the numbers, this place is probably one of the better places to test out specifically. As for the actual game mode, solos is as it says on a tin. You're playing by yourself against all other players, but the match is played as a free-for-all, so you're not teamed with anybody. Instead, it's just everybody's trying to fight for themselves, trying to earn as much plunder and be the top one left, the top one and the only one standing at the top of the hill at the end of a round. With those, you do get a little bit more teamwork involved, and teamwork is going to be integral in finding out some of the more tougher matches, as the more players you include together on each team, the more complicated and exciting, but also more demanding some of the fights may end up being. You can either be automatically paired with a random player when playing duos, or you could just bring a friend along with you. So whether you want to play solos or duos, it at least facilitates the ability for you to jump into it immediately, even if you don't have a pre-made group. And with PLUNDERSTORM having an actual practice mode, we can actually go over some of the basics of the combat. Off the bat, you don't really get a normal skill bar. Instead, this is a lot more condensed with very specific abilities. Combo attack is not your auto attack, and you can't actually auto attack in PLUNDERSTORM, but that'll be your basic ability that actually has a bit of a frontal to it. Your other basic skill that you start with is a health brew. On a 30-second cooldown, this ability restores a good portion of your overall health. However, if you take damage while trying to restore your health, damage will disrupt your healing. So you want to be very, very careful to land a heal whenever you don't have enemies constantly attacking you and harassing you. When it comes to the movement of PLUNDERSTORM, you also start with a double jump. This lets you achieve a little bit extra height when going for certain jumps, as well as to go to certain places that normally would be a little bit more difficult to reach. And with a high jump height, PLUNDERSTORM also features no fall damage, so it lets you really roam around the battlefield as much as you want to. It gives you quite a few different ways for you to be able to get around the zone of the Arathi Highlands, which is where the PLUNDERSTORM event is held. From that point forth, you're basically ready to at least dip your toes into PLUNDERSTORM, and if you want to jump into a match, you'll be able to immediately, like most battle royales, kind of try to select one of your spawn points. And the spawn points this time around have actually been added with a few more graphic details to them. They're listed with red, yellow, as well as green circles. Red are high density areas that a lot of players will go to, but those are the places where a lot of rares are going to be. This is a place where you can get a ton of treasures as well as a lot of abilities, but you're more likely to encounter other players as well as combat early on, which makes them high risk but also high reward. Green is a little bit safer, but the rewards are not nearly as big, with yellow being somewhere in between. When the game starts, you first want to decide where you want to drop in, and you can look around to see if other players are dropping in the same location. If a lot of players are dropping in the same spot as you are, then you'll likely encounter a lot of combat. You drop in and start gathering as much plunder and abilities you can find on the ground as well. The whole point of PLUNDERSTORM is to land and collect as much plunder as possible. Slaying elites, slaying big boss enemies, looting treasures, and collecting plunder on the floor is how you get the currency that you can then use to buy all those cosmetics on the shop. To have an easier time collecting plunder, you will want to make sure that your character is as strong as they can be to slay those rares really quickly, but also to fight off any players that might want to impede on your plundering journey. So as you collect a variety of different abilities, you'll be able to unlock skills, offensive, utility skills, which could be defenses, shields, maybe survivability, and even things like stealth and mobility, but also items that have a variety of wacky different effects that sometimes can be really, really helpful in very key situations. You also want to collect plunder, slaying enemies, and doing all those things also allows you to earn experience, which allows you to level up. And as we gain more levels, like in retail WoW and classic WoW, or I guess a new other version of WoW, normal versions of WoW that isn't PLUNDERSTORM, as you gain more levels, your character grows stronger, your abilities set harder, you gain more health, and it makes it much, much easier for you to survive most encounters. Because it is a PvP mode, you are encouraged to fight other players, because when you slay other players, you actually can not only collect their abilities, but also collect the plunder that they've earned for the match. So you are encouraged to not only get plunder through PvE content, but also by fighting other players, you can get plunder from them as well. And this right here is part of the mode that becomes a battle royale. As you slay players and take their plunder, take their items, your character grows stronger to continue leveling up and progressing throughout this current match to hopefully be the final one standing in a solo, or the final two standing as a duo. If you're not familiar with any of the offensive, utility abilities, or even items of PLUNDERSTORM, like maybe this is your first time playing the game, then you can actually test them out in the practice range and see what those abilities are, what they do, what type of effects they have, and then you can equip them, try them out against different train dummies, various NPCs in the practice area, or jump into the ring and then test it out against other players. If you are familiar with PLUNDERSTORM, however, two new abilities have been added. One that gives you a consecration style effect that upgrades your main damage ability, but also a very far range sniper type of ability that takes a little bit of a wind up, but it's a very, very strong skill shot that's been recently added. As for the utility skills, you can now call in a new Great Father Bird that's going to push enemies out of a specific area after a short delay. This can be used to either put yourself in the center of that zone to keep all those melee enemies away from you, or if, let's say, they're trying to escape through a narrow hallway, you can actually cut them off at their exit. We also have a teleporting skill that allows you to place a node down on the ground, and then if you walk away from it, you can press the ability again to teleport back to that node. Any enemies caught in that explosion are also slowed and take a little bit of damage, which allows you to escape, but also can be used to aggressively chase after an enemy if you can kite him back towards that node. Now, the main goal of Plunderstorm is to jump into Arathi, jump into the Plunderstorm, slay enemies, loot treasures, slay other players, and then collect as much plunder as humanly possible. Plunder is going to be a main form of currency that you can obtain from this mode, and as you play games, as you slay enemies, and even complete certain daily and weekly objectives, then you can obtain additional plunder with every single match, and then you can spend the plunder in the Plunder Store, which you can find located up above. And in the Plunder Store, they have a variety of things from pets, mounts, previous mounts, but also some of the newer mounts that are available as of this season, as well as a variety of different toys, other things like Trader's Tender, which I cannot purchase as of this moment. There's weapons, swabby outfits, snazzy outfits, strap-in outfits, which are available from last time Plunderstorm was available, but also the Storm-ridden outfits, which are new as of this, I guess, new season, new headpieces, and as well as customization options, tabards, the tabard from last season, but also different cloaks and back pieces for you to collect as well. And once you have enough plunder, all you have to do is just buy these items, and that's it. They're added to your account permanently, and now you can use these mounts as well as pets and cosmetics in the live realms as well. Now, there's many different strategies when it comes to Plunderstorm, but for the most part, you want to try to survive as long as possible, and then collect as much plunder as you can. Technically, winning the games of Plunderstorm allows you to gain a big boost of plunder with every single match, but also players are encouraged to fight one another in order to obtain other players' plunder. Now, when you die, you don't lose the plunder currency. You actually get to keep whatever you were able to earn for that round, but the player that slayed you is going to be able to add how much plunder you collected to their total, which means that you do want to slay other players and try to be the last one standing to earn the maximum amount of plunder. However, during the initial launch of Plunderstorm, many players found that PvE modes and avoiding PvP was actually one of the best way to earn a huge bulk of plunder generally. So even if you're someone who doesn't really like WoW PvP or PvP modes for games in general, but still want to get all the Plunderstorm cosmetics, there are strategies that probably still work right now that will allow you to earn quite a bit of plunder without encountering players at all. And most likely on this channel we'll do more guides as to how to maximize your plunder earned within Plunderstorm, whether you want to fight against other players or whether you want to avoid them entirely. So be sure to subscribe and follow the channel for future guides on that as well. But as always though, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy this Plunderstorm update. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give this video a like. I would very much appreciate it. Join our Discord community for any future patch 11.1 future coverage over on the PTR, or for any potential guides on Plunderstorm, which we'll likely be writing there as well. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.